Whilst building more complete tracks, it's often about adding lots of elements like I just showed you and increasing the density of a track to make it more interesting to the ear. It's also about progressing the elements that are already there. Now there's a whole bunch more tactics and strategies I can show you with regards to this, but the most important one is actually just about muting and turning things on and off in different sections. And if you're looking at this arrangement here, that's the thing I'm doing the most of, and this is kind of 80% of arranging, is just muting things and bringing them back in at different times. Now, another thing I touched on before is actually on drums and changing drums in different sections or adding new drum layers. And so one extra thing I've done here is I've gone from this think break in this section, which is just kind of the standard think, and then I've layered this ride in this area just to make it a bit brighter and give it more energy. Another really common technique is to process the same drum element in different ways in a new section. And what I've got here is this think break where I've just done a little bit of EQ shaping in this section, but then this one where I'm using this think break more as a layer, I've had to shape it a lot more to make it fit with this amen. So rather than having to get a new break in and rethink everything, I'm just repurposing what's already there. One other thing I love to do is to pitch individual elements up or down an octave, so that's +12 or -12 semitones, and in here I've done it with this pad sample. And it makes it a bit brighter and more ethereal by pitching it up 12 semitones, and it really works for this track as I'm trying to build the energy and make it more uplifting in this section of the song. So you can use it to change the energy a little bit, and I've done something similar but in reverse here where I have this vocal at its normal pitch. But when I needed some variation and I wanted to bring the mood down a little bit in this breakdown section, I've kind of pitched this vocal sample down. A few other things I've done before I demo this whole section is I've changed the shape of this element. So what I have here is this pad sample, these two pad samples together. And what I did is I bounced that pad sample down and then I copied it into a new sampler instrument, and then I made it a much sharper envelope. And I also changed the sample start here by the look of it. And so then I've got the same noise, I've repurposed it to be this stabby sound. What you might also be able to hear there happening is I'm using some automation. So I've got these little glides which are sounding really cool, giving me this little pitch kind of movement as two notes glide together. But I'm bringing the filter cutoff up as this is progressing, and most importantly I'm bringing up the amp release throughout this whole passage. So by the end of it, it's releasing more of that pad sample bit by bit, getting me back to where I bring the whole pad back in. So if I show you kind of the beginning and the end. You can hear one's really stabby and one's just got more energy and it's releasing more and it's building to a place. So you can use automation as well to kind of give you this rise in energy, and just making sounds move over time makes them more interesting as well. Another really vital thing to create the sense of progression over the course of the track is to have little fills and variation in the drums. And for this tune, it's basically this 4-bar repeating passage, but with different fills at the end of the 4-bar. So in this little last kind of chunk of the 4-bar and the 8-bar and the 16-bar, the 12-bar and the 16-bar. So you need to have these little fills and variations evolve as the track goes. And I've been showing you how I've been doing this with the little reverse snares and the Octave snares and the pitch snares and just little double hits and things like that. So if I just play you this block now, you can hear how these little variations at the end of the bars, the end of the 4-bar and 8-bar, 12-bar and 16-bar, help to give that sense of progression to the drums. And the last thing I want to talk about is just these little rises and crashes, and these are just little embellishments, and they just help to emphasize certain breakdowns or certain transitions. It doesn't have to be big kind of like techno or trance style rises even. It can be these little kind of subtle things like this. You know, even that crash is a little bit back in the mix, but just enough to give you that little bit of expression as a new passage is starting. And the last tip I want to give you is actually about taking notes. And this is something I've been doing for a while, but it's really helpful. And what I do is whenever I'm working on a tune, the first thing I do in the morning is I go and listen to the tune from start to finish, and I make a whole bunch of notes of ways I can improve the track, things I like, things I don't like. And just before I go in and start being creative and go into my production session, it just can help give you a bit more of a structure and a few more things to aim for to help take your tracks further, because sometimes the production sessions can just get really confusing and you just go in all kinds of directions. So having some notes is a really good way to streamline things a little bit more. And just for this track, it's very near completion, so I didn't have too much to go into. But I just talked about a few more things where I might want to add some textures at the start, some bird sounds or wave sounds, and then a few more things to maybe smooth out some of the transitions, and just maybe a few more little things I wanted to do, some mixing things. I thought my think break could maybe go up a little bit in level, so little things like that just to edge your way towards perfection. And if you keep doing this over and over again and every day take new notes, you just step by step get your track sounding more professional and more finished. So that's kind of all my tips I really have for you today, kind of laid out bare. And so I really hope this is going to help some of you get further towards making full tracks, and that's really the whole goal of me making this video. So I will catch you very soon back on this channel in the next week or two, and yeah, keep well until then. Peace.